Hey guys, welcome to Digital Discoveries. This is the podcast where you learn from the raw stories of aspiring entrepreneurs and digital nomads, but also the stories from the ones who've actually made it. So get ready, because you're about to be mining some audio gold. Hey guys, welcome to Digital Discoveries, the podcast where you learn the stories of real entrepreneurs and digital nomads. Today I'm here with a good friend of mine. His name is Abu Fofanah, and little story about how we met a couple years ago. Oh Jesus, was it like 2-3 years ago now? We met in Italy and we were both studying abroad, and we both had mutual interests in fashion and business. And it was pretty good times. And now, 3 years later, whatever I said, we're both here as aspiring entrepreneurs. I am also an aspiring digital nomad, and we're here today to talk about Abu and what he's doing with his business. So Abu, tell me, where are you right now and what are you doing?
Oh man, that's I have no idea how I landed here, but I'm currently in New York, and I'm doing a lot of things. One of the jobs, right, is working out on around like Wall Street area, and what I'm doing is building software for this company. So that's one of the things I'm doing, and so that's why I moved to New York. And the other reason was to be able, because I'm originally from Philly and I felt like I exhausted the network out there. And I wanted to be able to network with new people, fresh faces, and also be able to build my brand out in New York, because I also run a consulting company right after work and an online business school. And I'm also the VP of another company. So I'm doing a lot, but New York just seemed like the right step to figuring out a few things, but also being in a place where there's so many different people I get to interact with and pitch my ideas and get new clients. And so yeah, this is where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and you've always been that person who literally jumps at opportunity that kind of walks into your life. So when I heard that you moved to New York, it was not a surprise to me because I feel like you would probably fit in with the hustle and bustle out there. One of the things that I've always known you to be is someone who grabs opportunity. And I know that one of your side hustles right now, your website, you just recently renamed it. So why don't you tell us about Mastering Year One? My bad. Totally messed up your website, Abu. It's actually Master Year One, you guys. And he will reiterate that in just 3 seconds.
Yeah, so I have a few websites. So Master Year One, the website you're referring to. So there's 3 websites right now. The first one is houseoffofanah.com, right? And that's kind of like the parent company. That's the big umbrella. And House of Fofanah, these other brands are just like, sub-brands to House of Fofanah. So House of Fofanah is like the consulting arm, right? It's like where I really get clients and I do consulting work through them. And I have a team of people that help me with the consulting projects that I'm on. And then there's abufofanah.com. That's like my personal space, right? That's my blog, but that's also where I write about a lot of the things going on in the industry, a lot of things going on, whether it's in retail, whether it's in tech, just how to build a brand, right? And then Master Year One is really about, helping, because when I was doing House of Fofanah and Abu Fofanah, right, my personal brand, abufofanah.com, I started realizing a lot of the entrepreneurs that I would run into kind of had similar questions. So I started bucketing these questions because I would literally have an Excel sheet because I knew I would get asked that question, and I just copy and paste the answer. And I was like, you know what? I need a better way to kind of feed this to people that I randomly run in the street, right? Or I'm at a bar and they find out that, I was an entrepreneur, like I ran my own business, I do consulting, like they start asking me a million questions. And so this was more tailored to people that were just starting out or were in their first year or several years of business, right? Like it's about mastering your first year of business. And that's where Master Year One was born. So it's an online business school teaching a lot of business fundamentals, step by step, how to actually launch, right? So whether it's your idea, we have 3 courses on there right now. And the great thing about it is, out of these 3 courses, one is completely free, right? It's called How to Survive Your First Year of Business. The other 2 are paid. One is called Jumpstart, and that's really for people and entrepreneurs that have a lot of ideas and to help them just narrow and focus down to that one specific profitable idea. The second course is the Lean Incubator, and that's really, now that you have your idea, what do you need to do to launch, right? Creating a business plan, a website, etc. So that's kind of the format of the online business school. And so Master Year One is for, again, the first year entrepreneur, someone looking to start out, because it gives you step-by-step process and exactly how to do it. And it's things that have been done. It's not like theories or anything like that.
Yeah. And when I saw the new name for your new website, I actually am a little obsessed with it because it really does make sense and it really does highlight everything someone would want to know when starting their business. Year one is the year. That's where you learn, that's where you pivot, it's where you change, it's where you literally make so many different decisions to a business that literally after year one is what it is for a longer remainder of time.
For sure. And no, you completely hit it on the nail, and that's what year one is super important, because if you don't lay down the foundations, or if you don't know the direction you're going in, you'll completely be lost. You'll be running this business that you don't know whether it's viable for the next 3 to 5 years, and then after 5 years realize that, oh, it's really not a business, or oh, it's really not, there's no market for me. But year one is really about condensing and giving you everything that's been proven, whether it's from me and other entrepreneurs, compiled step by step. This is what the things you need to know. And it's not everything, because you could go to Google and search, but you'll get everything. And you don't know, out of everything you're getting, what is the right information, what is the right step to get you to the next process. And so I really condensed it down to what you really need to know to lay down this foundation, this infrastructure as you're building your business, because it's the most crucial step, right, into getting, running a brand, or into running a full-time business, or running something you're passionate about, or a purposeful business and brand.
Yeah, and for everyone who's listening or watching this right now, I actually have first experience with the program because, all right, for all of you who are obviously watching or listening to this, you're on Digital Discoveries. That is a part of my website, Digital Nomad Apparel. What you don't know is I actually took Abu's Jumpstart program that is a part of Mastering Year One, and his program actually helped me narrow down all of my passions and my skills to narrow basically and find that thing that I should go after and, try out, which is kind of how DNA came to be what it is. So I think that's pretty cool and pretty interesting because you're part of my creation story of DNA. But one thing that I think it would be really interesting to know is, how did you get to narrowing down and finding what it is that you wanted to do to start Mastering Year One?
I think with me is that, from a young age, I just would always try things. And the thing with trying things is that it's kind of scary because it paralyzes people. People know the things that they're interested in it, but when you ask them, if you ever tried it, they're like, well, no, I haven't tried it. And I'm like, well, why haven't you tried it? And they're just like, well, I don't know. And with me, the way I lived my life was I made a list of everything I was interested in, everything that I liked, everything. And then I started going one by one down the list and crossing out things and be like, you know what, I really wasn't interested in this, but these were the positives. I found that I was a really good, communicator. And I'll take that skill to the next thing that I'm trying. And I'm like, you know what? I wasn't really great at this, but I found out I'm really good at building relationships. So after trying a few things, I realized, okay, I'm a good communicator. I'm good at building relationships. And so each thing that I would try, I would not like, I didn't always succeed in them, right? But I learned so much more, right, than I anticipated. And I used those learnings as I continued to go down the list of things that I was really interested in to kind of build a catalog of, okay, I'm really good at helping people. I'm really good communicator, So I started creating this list, and I'm like, well, what does that fit into? And I look at my list, and I'm like, you know what? I had like consulting here. So maybe let me take those skills that I realized that I was good at from the things that I failed, and let me go to consulting because that may sound like a little bit better. And so I found myself in a role where I was like, wow, like this is exactly what I needed to be doing, right? And so that was one way. The second way is sometimes you have to look for signs that come about. And I remember, when I started my first business at 18, or when I went to Milan, Italy, some reason people would always love to ask me questions about how I did it. Like, how do you start a business? I remember like even being in like the fashion design classes in Milan, I'd always get like a group of people asking me like, these are designers that have been designing their entire lives. And they'd always ask me business questions. Well, how do I sell this? How do I do this? And I'm like, it's easy. To me, it was easy, but to them, it was hard. And vice versa. Design was hard for me, right? But it was easy for me to sell. And so I would literally give them advice, do this and that. And all along, I was like consulting, right? I was helping them build their brand, right? I was coming in and, looking at what they were strong in and saying, okay, you need this, this, and that. I was helping them create a strategy, a roadmap to success. And so now I see myself doing the same thing, but now just on a larger scale and working with a lot of different clients and bigger brands and Fortune 100, 500 companies and startups and medium-sized brands and such. So it's just about trying and then also looking for signs where you're like, wow, this thing keeps coming back up. Maybe, I'm really good at this, or why do people keep asking me questions around this? So I aligned my purpose and passion with the skills that I already had.
That's so awesome. And it's actually kind of funny how it really makes sense once you like look backwards and you can look at all the pieces of the puzzle to your life to where you are now. But like when you look forward, I know for so many people it's so hard to just know, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? With all the passions that people might have, or they might be good at baseball, but they really like singing, and it's so hard for people to look forward to determine what to go after. So for me, I know that was my struggle. So I loved how Jumpstart really helped me focusing on that. And you really are a good consultant, Abu. And it is true. People really do go up to you and ask you questions. Like, guys, he's not just saying it.
So sometimes I'll be like last weekend I was at a friend's birthday, and it was at a bar, and it was late, right? It was like I think we got there like around like 11:30, 12, and she had more people join us. And as soon as they found out what I did and that I did consulting and things like that, they'd start asking me questions around business. They'd start asking me, hey, like, I have this idea. Hey, can you? And it would get annoying because I just wanted to have a good time with my friend. It was her birthday. And now I'm like consulting. It's 11:30 p.m., 1 a.m. at a bar. And I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, can we like schedule a call? Can we do something else and like talk about this at her birthday party? It gets excessive sometimes.
You know what? So many people just don't know like about business and things like that. So when somebody walks into a bar and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a business consultant, heck yeah, they're gonna come up to you and ask you some questions. You gotta give them a different thing, like, oh, I have a e-commerce website where I sell services. Like, this is way more vague.
I'm getting better at just redirecting them and say, oh yeah, let's schedule a call, or here's the link to my calendar, put some time down there, because everyone's inquiries, it could take an hour, it could take 2 hours. And you just got to fill out, like, what exactly do they want? And it's not, like, being rude, but, like, you want to be able to help them the best way you can.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be precise in exactly what they need help with, rather than, like, telling them everything and then they get overwhelmed and they never start, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're like, wow, this is a lot, right? And so a lot of times too, I'm mindful of what I share because I need to know exactly what you need help in.
Yeah, that's so true. So, for anyone listening to this, is there any one piece of advice or two pieces of advice you would give to anybody who's in that place of, I'm stuck, I don't know what to go after? Where do they start? What is step one?
Um, See, and that's what I answer.
That's the question. You're like, oh crap, I shouldn't answer that.
See, that's the, advertise right like that. That's what I literally built Master Year One for.
Yeah.
It's to help throughout the process. But I think that the advice I'd give someone today, and I was thinking about this earlier as I was walking, is that you really need, I think, a few things, and I think, the most important thing is that you really need to research your idea thoroughly. Like you have this idea, but you need to really research thoroughly as to, because all the time I hear, well, there's no other competitors. Like when you know there's no other competitors, that should be a red flag. You should be researching why aren't there any other competitors, right? Or have you done your due diligence in finding out? There's so many times I run into entrepreneurs and they'll pitch me their idea and they're saying like, oh, there's no other competitors. Like we're the first of our kind. And then I'll literally will do a Google research of, okay, other options besides taxis. And I like Uber, Lyft. And I'm like, wait, I thought you said there was no other competitors, right? And so they're like, well, I didn't see them when I researched. I'm like, I don't think you did a thorough enough research because you should know the industry you're in better than anyone else, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to prove, that market, right? That's the industry you're trying to sell, and you should know it better than anyone else. And a lot of times I run into people that just know like 1% of the information, and it's from their experience. They're like, well, this, and that, but they haven't researched the entire story to figure out exactly why it is that way, right? Maybe there's a lot of laws and regulations that are, that's why no one has entered that industry yet. And so you really have to ask yourself those tough questions, because when it's just you don't, like, there's no one asking you, like, there's no one asking those questions. And so you think what you know is everything. And it's not. There's so much more that you don't know, and that's what you should be looking towards researching, finding out, putting yourself in environments where you could know more. And I think that's the first step. And after you have that research, then it's like testing it out by running a beta, right? Testing it out by running surveys, asking other people, sending out survey links, right? You could do over Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or whatever. Just getting feedback on your idea, right? And building that way, getting a lot of data in and understanding and analyzing, okay, this is what people are missing. This is what value I could provide to others. And I think the reason why I built Master Year One was to really answer those questions for people. Like, okay, this is what you need to do before you go and you invest all your time, energy, and effort into something. First, see if it's, if there's a market for it. Are people willing to pay for it before you go and do all of that?
Yeah, that's some solid advice. I didn't even realize I myself did that. Like mastering being a researcher. Like you want to be a master researcher, basically. And that is actually something that I did when I was doing digital nomad apparel, because I wanted to be within that niche of digital nomads. And I also wanted to do something with fashion and apparel. So I just combined the two, digital nomad apparel. And I Google searched. I'm like, is there anything digital nomad wise? I couldn't find anything. Then I was like, okay, well, before the term digital nomad became popular, what was it called? So remote workers, location independent, all these terms started to pop up. And that was things that I started to research. Like, are there clothes that location independent people, want, and so forth. And I came across a website that had a similar type of feel to it, where it was, digital nomad related, but everything on their website was completely affiliate linked. So it wasn't any merchandise that they necessarily have. It was basically a drop shipping website of product that they just found somewhere else and decided to put on theirs. So having that differentiating factor of the apparel on my website is stuff that I've designed, and it's also something that I'm trying to create a community around and have people, be interactive and get value and things like that, which is why I'm starting this podcast as well. So that's totally adequate to say, like, you have to be a master researcher and then also figure out, do people care? Like, step 1 and 2, research and see if people give a crap. That's solid.
Exactly. But there's some people that don't even know how to do their own research, that don't pay other people to do it for them.
And there's people who are ignorant and don't want to know because they think their idea is so good that, it's just going to work. They don't want to know the competition because they're just the best.
Yep. There's no competitors for sure.
Yeah. So set ego aside, guys, if that's you. Please do your research, do your due diligence, please. All right. So I wanted to leave this interview, and I'm probably going to end all podcasts like this. But Abu, what's next for you?
Oh, man. That's a hard question because I am the type of person that as soon as I get comfortable, I'll leave. Like, I'll shake things up. And I just need to be that way because, there's goal setting and there's fear setting, right? Goal setting is kind of doing things that you kind of know you can do, right? Fear setting is challenging yourself to stretch beyond your limits, to do the things that you're sort of afraid to do. And that's why whenever I get comfortable, I'm like, okay, I'm getting like too comfortable. What's next in terms of like, what am I avoiding, right? Like, what am I afraid of? And so I start fear setting instead of goal setting. And ever since I changed my mindset around about fear setting, the amount of growth that's been able to occur has just been exponential. Rather, goal setting, since I know I can do it, there's really not that much growth to be obtained. And so I think what's next for me is, every year I sit down and I evaluate, where am I at? And if I feel like I'm comfortable, I know it's time to do something else. And I think for me that, in a year's time, I either want to be,
What are you fearful of, Abu? What?
I either want to be running my business full time in New York, right? Being able to gather a bunch of clients to be able to, kind of scale it. One of my big goals was to generate, a lot of revenue over the next year being in New York. So I think that I want to continue to grow out Master Year 1, right? The online business school. And I want to continue to grow out House of Fofanah, which is my consulting brand, and kind of just position myself and grow my brand, position myself as someone that knows this industry, someone that, people go to. I'm the go-to person, right? And so, and all while doing that, kind of building a community, and I will track my impact based on the amount of people I'm able to help succeed, right? Not just be able to grow revenue-wise, but be able to help them succeed and help them grow revenue as well. So that's how I track my impact. Hey, am I doing what I said I was going to do, right? And what is the impact of what I'm doing? Are other people benefiting from what I'm doing? Am I providing value? And so that's how I'm going to kind of benchmark if I'm being successful at it. But those are the things I'm really focused on for the next year. And that's as far as I could go as a year. And a week is hard, like a year.
Yeah.
You have to ask me again next year, like, what's next for you? Because it's going to be completely different again.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. So before we sign off here, where can people find you? Do a little self-promotion, websites, Instagram, wherever you want people to stalk you at.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on Instagram as @Abu Fofanah. That's ABUFOFANAH. And I'm sure Taylor,
I'll link it.
She posts, whether it's Facebook, whatever, she'll link it. My website is abufofanah.com. That's ABUFOFANH.com. And then, so you could come to my website, look around. You could follow me on Instagram, same handle for like Twitter and everything. Make sure to like my Facebook page and continue to follow me if you have any questions related to business and growing and strategy, automation, tech. I'm your guy. Just want to help companies grow and build brands and also build profitability. I'm always about focusing on profit first and how to build your brand that way rather than purpose and passion. So it's a different mentality, but so yeah, I'm your guy. Just I'm the man behind the brands. That's what
He is.
I make the companies grow in the back end.
You guys, and he's telling the truth. He is really good at what he does, and he's always been somebody that I've asked questions for if I needed help. I mean, heck, guys, I even took his program, and it helped me literally create Digital Nomad Apparel. So thank you, Abu, for being my very first podcast interviewee. This was great. I even learned some new stuff here, and maybe next time we'll see you in a month or two when things shake up, or maybe in a year.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited about this new venture for you and everywhere you're going to go with it. But I think this is, you belong in a space, and I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing more of the other podcasts to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Abu. And that is Digital Discoveries, guys. Signing off. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to this very first podcast of Digital Discoveries. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm actually pretty fired up for what's coming down the pipeline in this podcast. I have some really awesome people coming on with some really interesting backgrounds and experience of their own and their own growth to being entrepreneurs and digital nomads. So if you're excited as well, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button and leave comments below. I would love to know your feedback on what you liked and what you didn't like, so that this can be an ever-evolving and growing podcast for you. I'm trying to add value to you guys, and if you know somebody who's actually an aspiring entrepreneur or digital nomad, or someone who's made it and has a story and some knowledge and value to bring to anyone listening to this, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from them. Have them reach out to me. My email is info@digitalnomadapparel.com, and I would love to hear from you guys. So this is me signing off of the very first Digital Discoveries podcast. Talk to you later, guys.